I want to get into this exit interview that Nico Harrison did to yesterday, right? So, and I don't know if you heard the TNT crew at halftime during the game last night, but Charles Barkley evidently knows Nico. He probably got ties with him when he was at Nike because he was Charles Barkley was signed with Nike as well. So he said, "Hey, look, man, I'm a friend of yours, Nico, but I just gotta ask you, man, stop doing these press conferences, right? Just I guess Charles Barkley is saying he's just making it worse. He's making, I mean, just you made a decision, you gotta, you made your bed, you gotta lie in it, just live with it. Stop trying to do these interviews, right? Now, exit interviews, every team does those. So this wasn't nothing out of the ordinary, except for the fact that he did a closed conference interview like this already, and it was closed to the public. There was no cameras, there was no recorders. It was only transcript, right? So they did that, and then the media towed him up saying that he's ducking the smoke. He's not facing the music. Why would you do this closed door and all this stuff? So him hearing all that noise, or either the owner hearing all that noise, somebody at some point said, you know what, let's go ahead and do it to the public. But this exit interview is something that was already probably scheduled by the team, that they just decided, instead of just talking about the normal stuff next year and what we trying to do, what we expect, and some things about this year, we're gonna let the media ask questions about this Luka trade, right? But I think the original thought was that once I do this closed off conference, I'll address the Luka stuff there, and then the exit interview can be all the other stuff. But I think that people were so upset that he did it closed off like that they made the Luka stuff. They made it available for them to be able to ask those questions during this press conference, right? So let's get into some of the stuff they asked him. And I would just say this: all this was, it was about 25 minutes of him opening it up for questions by giving his statement and things that he want to do in the off season and what he want to do next year, and the ups and downs of this season, what the vision is. He kind of gave a little brief synopsis of that in the first minute or two, then opened it up for questions. So it was about 25 minutes of them asking questions, and this is what it boils down to. There were Dallas media, and they had some other people that wasn't Dallas media, like The Athletic was there, and some other pubs that wasn't local to Dallas, but mostly local Dallas media, pretty much asking questions as an entitled fan or on the behalf of entitled fans. And the reason why I say entitled is because they really feel like, as fans, as fans, you shouldn't make any decisions that's going to upset us, right? By trading away a player that we love, right? So they want answers. They want a pound of flesh. And all this was them asking questions that is supposed to, and not asking questions like they wanted to know the answer to them, asking questions, leading questions that's supposed to trip him up to saying something that they can later take to the newspapers or the magazines or the podcast, or any other media outlet, take that and get more from it, right? They just want to feast on this for as long as they can because they're mad, they're angry, and they want to take it out on Nico, right? So listen to some of these questions.
And Nico, Christian Clark with The Athletic, in the weeks leading up to the trade, how much discussion internally was about just, trading Luka for another player who up to that point had missed a lot more time in his career, effectively, like trading a guy for a player who I guess was more injury prone? How much did you guys discuss that or think about that?
Yeah, I mean, when you trade a guy of Luka's caliber, you're not taking it lightly. So we discussed everything, but we really feel that defense is our calling card and what we're going to hang our hat on. And when we had an opportunity to get one of the best two-way players in the league, we jumped at that opportunity.
Okay, so translation on that question, he asked him, how much conversation went in before you pulled the trigger on Anthony Davis, a player that is injury prone. So basically what they're saying is, man, you gave away Luka for damage good for an injury prone player, right? So I don't think the trade was good. But what player would they be happy for him trading? Like what player? What player would, the people who love Luka be like, okay, yeah, good trade. I'm good with that. I don't know if there is a player, right? Especially not a player without any flaws that you could use as some type of scapegoat or some type of straw man to voice your frustrations. I mean, you're gonna find something wrong with this player that y'all got in return. So you can talk about how bad a trade it was. You could have traded for Steph, they would have said he's 37, he's too old, right? You traded for Giannis. Giannis might be one of the players that maybe they wouldn't have an issue with, but anybody else, they would have had some type of issue with it. Anthony Edwards, you traded for Anthony Edwards, they probably would have complained about that too. He's not an injury prone player, but that's what he's bringing up, and I like Nico's answer. He'll pretty much say, yeah, we talked about everything. It was a major trade. It was a player that was a big time. That's still a big time player. So we talked about everything. So yeah, we discussed AD's injury history. We discussed that, and then we still decided, yep, we want out of the Luka business so bad that yeah. AD, we getting a defender and a guy who can give you 30 a night in return, right, and deter everything in the paint, right. So yeah, we'll take that chance. Right. You got to live with that. Nico's got to live with it, and the fans got to live with it. Like, it's over after Nico did this press conference, it should be over. Like, why are we still talking about this? As soon as the Lakers win their first game in the playoffs, it's going to reflash once again, right? They won't stop talking about this until the Lakers are put out of the playoffs, and they'll probably shut up about it until next season. Right. But every game the Lakers win, every game Luka scores 30 or more, every near triple double, they're going to be like, Nico should be fired. Nico should be fired. Right. But so what? They made a decision. Live with it.
We're here. Isaac from Locked On Mavs. When when Luka comes back to town, the Lakers game's happening, and you're standing there and there's thousands of people chanting for you to be fired. That's an experience that none of us, no one's chanting for for us to lose our jobs. Why shouldn't you be fired?
Wow. And I know his voice. I watch Locked On Mavs. He seems like a young kid, a good kid. I don't know how old he is. I think he seems young. But man, that's a heck of a question, man, to ask. That's a heck of a question, bro. To ask somebody that, I want to say to ask an elder, but dang, like you can't have respect for a person when you ask them stuff like that. Why shouldn't you be fired? Here's the answer.
Well, one, I think I've done a really good job here, and I don't think I can be judged by the injuries this year. You have to judge from totality, from beginning to end, and so I think I have a really good working relationship with Patrick. I think you add in Rick, the leadership that we have is really elite, and you'll see next year when our team comes back, we're going to be competing for a championship.
So I like that answer, but I disagree slightly when we said I can't be judged by the injuries. You can be, right? Now, the injuries to Kyrie and PJ Washington and Gafford and Lively and all those players that went down this season. No, you can't be judged as a GM by players getting injured. But the only player that you can be judged by if they get injured is the player that you actually traded Luka for, which is AD. So if AD goes down, then ultimately you can be judged by that and should be judged by that because you made the decision to trade the younger player for the older injury-prone player, and that was your gamble, right? If the gamble pays off and AD is on the floor more than he's not on the floor, and he's healthy more than he's not healthy, then it was a good gamble. But that's yet to be seen, right? So you rolled the dice, you gambled. It can pay off. It cannot pay off, right? But you have to you have to accept the fact that you can be judged by how healthy AD is in these 3 years that you got him tied up with Kyrie Irving. Because I'm assuming y'all go re-sign Kyrie for a 3-year extension this summer. So yeah, you can be judged by that. But I think the question was disrespectful and Craig, why shouldn't you be fired? Why should he be fired? Right? Is the question. Why should he be fired? Just for trading Luka? My owner signed off on that. And more than likely the owner was eager to get out of the Luka business knowing what they was going to have to pay him. And when they sat down and thought about it and was like, okay, if we pay him this money, will we have enough money to go around for player X, Y, Z, whatever the case may be, 1, 2, 3? And the answer probably be like, no, we'll probably have to let him go. We'll probably have to let him go. And we'll probably have to sign some minimum guys and blah, blah, blah. And then the question becomes, so, okay, if we're paying him this and we know what type of players we need around him to build, because he's got deficiencies. I mean, he's a complete liability on defense. So at the very least, having a guy that 6'8", 270 pounds that play point guard, but can't guard point guards, right? You play point guard, but you can't guard point guards, which means whoever my shooting guard is has to be able to guard point guards. But Luka also can't guard shooting guards. He can't be on the perimeter, period. So whoever my shooting guard is has to guard point guards, and whoever my small forward is has to be able to guard shooting guards because Luka can't guard shooting guards or point guards. So I had to put Luka on a small forward. But the type of small forwards we got, LeBron, Durant, Jason Tatum, those are small forwards. Luka can't guard them either. So now my power forward has to be able to guard some small forwards, and then Luka has to be. And then I have to have a rim protector because Luka is going to let a lot of stuff by him. So I have to have a shot blocker in the game at all times. Then on the offense that he runs, he has to have the ball. So my point guard, who is Luka, has to have the ball for his offense to work. So that means my shooting guard, which is Kyrie, has to be a catch and shoot, dead-eye three-point shooter. And so does my small forward. And so does my power forward. And then my center has to be a lob threat because he's the one setting the screens and diving, screening, rolling every play almost. He has to be a lob threat. So I have to have a lob threat. We got two of those, Lively and Gafford. So we got that. Lively, Gafford, lob threat. Then we got my shooting guard, my small forward, my power forward has to be able to guard so many different positions on the perimeter because he can't guard on the perimeter, right? So not only do my co-stars have to, not my co-stars, but my role players have to be really great defenders, and then my big man have to be really great shot blocker. He has to be a shot blocker and a lob threat and someone who don't want the ball in the post, right? Then my shooting guard has to be able to guard point guard, or my point guard. Yeah, my shooting guard has to be able to guard point guards. and he also has to be a dead-eye three-point shooter. But since he's my co-star, he also has to figure out how to get 25 points a game to help this offense work without having any plays ran for him. Because the only play is Luka with the ball, high screen roll. That's pretty much the only play they run. And my co-star has to figure out how to get 25 points. He has to be a dead-eye three-point shooter to help spread the floor. My shooting guard has to be a dead-eye three-point shooter, but he also got to be a lockdown defender. My power forward has to be a lockdown defender that can guard multiple positions. And then my center has to be a lob threat who can block shots. It's so complicated to get these specific guys that have to be so specific on both ends of the floor to cover all the deficiencies for Luka and the way that he wants to play on offense and his deficiency on defense. Is a lot. And we talking about giving him 300, 400 mil and then figure out how to get these special, specific guys on the roster. Is it going to be and that's what we're seeing right now with Jokic. Jokic, the way he plays and the deficiencies he has, they rely on special and specific role players. Imagine having the best player in the league on your roster in his prime. His co-star is still on his team, the co-star he won a championship with. His third best player is still on the team, and his fourth best player is still on the team. But they're not a championship roster anymore because they lost two role players, Caldwell Pope, Bruce Brown. I say three role players in Jeff Green. They're not a championship team no more because they lost three role players. And imagine Michael Jordan in his prime still has Scottie Pippen, but he lost Craig Hodges, and all of a sudden their offense don't help them get to the finals no more. Or he lost Tony Kukoc, and all of a sudden they can't go no more. They not contenders. They can't repeat. They can't three-peat. Right? I think superstars, especially the one that's supposed to be the best in the league, as long as you got your co-star, you should be able to, as long as you give me competent players. For role players, I should be good. But here it is. Jokic didn't lose his co-star. He didn't lose his third best player or his fourth best player. They're still intact. And the coach was still there as well up until a couple of weeks ago. But they're not a contender anymore because of Bruce Brown and Caldwell Pope and Jeff Green. And that's what Dallas was looking at. Man, if we pay Luka all this money, we're going to lose some role players. But the role players are so important to this offense because there's only a certain type of player that we can have in this offense. And I mean, it's just too much. Like when you're really good, just give me a good player and we'll figure it out. But having a specific player you have to have all the time, that's unreal to me.
And Nico, you say repeatedly that defense wins championships. Are you saying it was impossible to build a roster that included Luka Doncic that was strong enough defensively to win a championship?
No, I think it's really doubling down on defense. And, like I said, when we had the opportunity to get Anthony Davis, who is one of the best two-way players in the league, we jumped at that opportunity.
That was a crazy question. Are you saying defense wins championships? Are you saying that you're not able to build a championship roster around Luka because of defense? No, I'm just doubling down on defense. We had an opportunity to get a two-way player, the best two-way player in the league, someone who can give me 30 and also protect the rim. And it's hard to not want a team that don't have holes defensively. Like when you look at Boston, I don't think they have no holes defensively. Al Horford is a big man that can protect the paint. He can guard post players. He can shot block even at his age. And then he can step out on the perimeter and guard the pick and roll and switch and guard smaller players, guards, perimeter players. He can guard them and stick with them, right? Porzingis, shot blocker, rim protector, right? Jason Tatum, very versatile, can guard 1 through 4 at an elite level. Jaylen Brown can guard 1 through 3 at an elite level. Drew Holiday can guard 1 through 3 at an elite level. They're right. One of the best shot blocking guards in the league can guard 1 through 3, very elite. And then their shooters even play defense. Pritchard plays defense. Hauser plays defense. They don't have a weakness on their team on either end of the floor. They don't have a guy that we can say, all right, that's our offense. Get him switched on the ball and we just go take him to the hole. They got to be in rotation after that. They don't have that. And getting the hell beat out of them in the finals against Boston and looking at them and game planning for them and realizing, I mean, that's no weakness to attack. They had to look at them and be like, man, I wish we had something like that. I wish we could have an offense and a defense where, where J. Kidd can actually do some coaching and not say, hey, it's all about high screen and roll, Luka with the ball, take us home, be a hero. And then sit there and come to the press conference after you get beat and try to protect Luka by saying, we got to do a better job of protecting Luka on defense. This is supposed to be your best player. Imagine Michael Jordan getting protected on defense, saying that he's so much of a liability that we have to scheme our offense and pre-rotate the entire offense to where the ball is. Like whoever Luka is guarding, we have to pre-rotate. Like stand home, and then once the ball is in the paint or you're trying to penetrate and you got to switch. Yeah, I can see us rotating in. If we double someone, I can see us rotating in. That's not what they're doing. As soon as the man that Luka's guarding get the ball, they're already pre-rotated because they know he gonna get beat. That's not good. That's not good. So I answered the question for you. No, he didn't. That's why they traded him. They didn't feel like they could have a championship team that can win it with that many deficiencies on the defensive end, starting with our best player.
Hi, Nico. Joey Mastretta with Clutch Points. Going off that question, you've made it very clear defense wins championships, and that's a very respectable mentality, old basketball saying.
He said that's a very respectable mentality. And when you say that, yeah, you say defense wins championship, that's very respectable. Okay, I get. So he really don't respect it. That's what that when people say that, that's what they mean. I really don't respect that. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, we know that ain't real. He don't even respect the fact that defense does win championships.
Well, looking at Luka Doncic, he did get this team to the NBA Finals last year. When you look at Luka Doncic, do you consider him a championship level player?
That's kind of an unfair question. Luka's no longer on this team. But what I am excited about is I do believe we have a championship caliber team. And we'll show that next year.
That's an unfair question. Luka's not on the team. He got us to the finals last year. Why would you trade? That's the dress translation. He got us to the finals. How could you not think we could actually win it? I mean, come on, dog. They looked at it. They assessed the situation. They don't think they can win with him, man. Just let it go. I mean, when Doc Rivers said it about Ben Simmons, I didn't see no one up in arms saying Doc Rivers was wrong. He said, I don't think we can be. I don't know if we can win with Ben Simmons as our point guard. I don't know. Nobody cried about that except Ben Simmons. But I mean, people got their prerogative. I mean, if you want to divorce away from a player, you should be able to do that. Like, we're not obligated to sign him and get him $300 million. We're not obligated to that. We didn't want to do it as a ownership and a front office. We decided we did not want to move forward with Luka. When you assess everything, it's just not one thing. It's the fact that we would have to give him this much money. It's the fact that we have to jump through hoops to help him out on defense. His defense is not getting better. His conditioning is not getting better. He continues to show up out of shape in training camp, overweight. All of that stuff when you add it together is I just want out. Let LA handle it. They might be able to do it better than us. I mean, but at the end of the day, the NBA is a business. It's an entertainment industry, and Luka is still in the NBA. He don't have to be in Dallas. The NBA still got Luka. We still get to see Luka Magic. We just get to see it in the LA jersey. We all win. We still get to watch Luka. We all win.
Mike Curtis, Dallas Morning News. Piggybacking off that a little bit, you mentioned last week that Dirk is no longer around the franchise. Obviously, Luka isn't a part of the franchise anymore, and they're two figures that mean a lot to this organization and the fan base. Obviously, it's severed right now, just with everything that's happened. Like, I guess, how do you repair the relationship with the fan base going forward?
Well, one, you mentioned Dirk, and so it's important to say, like, he's the single most important figure to the franchise. So that's extremely important. I believe winning will help repair the relationship with the fans, and that's what we plan to do next year.
I believe winning will help repair the relationship with the fans. Who cares if the relationship is severed with the fans? Buy your ticket, show up to the arena, watch us win these ball games. Y'all would rather lose with Luka than win with anybody else. I get it. Y'all loved them for whatever reason. But it's whatever. Players get traded every day, B. But I really just played that last soundbite just to drive the point home. Nico said that Dirk Nowitzki is the single most important player to this organization. He's the only one that brought them a ring. He didn't get that ring without Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd showing up and providing what he provided was huge and big time. Dirk don't get that ring without J Kidd. So I would say the single most important player is definitely Dirk. But a close second is J Kidd. I wouldn't say a close second. A second is J Kidd. Yes, J Kidd's more important to the organization than Luka is. Because he was the co-star that helped Dirk Nowitzki get the first ring here in Dallas, and now he's here coaching it and got them to a finals. So J Kidd is very important to Dallas Mavs. So is Dirk, right? So just want to drive that point home. And if y'all want to go and listen to the full interview, there was a lot of questions that he fielded. 26 minutes worth of questions. And I hope this is the last time he address all of this Luka stuff, man. Because I don't think he really needs to. I think Barkley's right, man. Make this your last press conference. You don't owe the fans this many lumps of flesh. They just want to. I mean, they already shown up to a arena saying fire you. Let them have that opinion. Let them sulk in their own disappointment. But you don't owe them all of this and all these press conferences and all these answers and all this stuff, man. Just you made the trade. It's done. It's a done deal. You can't go back on it. All right. Make the best out of it. And hopefully you keep your job, and hopefully the team performs injury-free for the most part. So we can see how this team will look firing all cylinders. So that's my thoughts on that, man. Appreciate y'all for watching this episode. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.